Howdy, friends. This is Lance. I'm going to talk a little bit about the topic of PDF files and what do you do with them in Google Classroom and how do you make it silky smooth for both you as a teacher and your students, because sometimes PDF files on a Chromebook are not super easy to deal with. Okay, so this is really about taking a file, making it available so that way a student can maybe write on it, edit it, read it. Not only that, but make it so that way it actually works offline on a Chromebook. Because if it's a Google Slide, Doc, Sheet, or Google Drawing, they will work offline on a Chromebook. Okay, so I have three different tools here going on. I have Newsela, and I have Zamzar, and I have Google Classroom. So these are the tools that I'm going to be using today. And what I will do is I'm also going to give you kind of different levels here. This is going to be a choose your own adventure. I'm going to make it super simple in the first place. So level one here is to just take this and turn it into a Google Slides presentation super easy with Zamzar. That's level one. And you'll be able to pick and choose which way you want to go. If you want to level up and keep going and add more to it and make it more customizable, then you can move on to what I call editing the master. I'm very passionate about editing the master in Google Slides. I think it's the most effective way to avoid technology problems when you push out Google Slides to students. So that's level two. And then there's level three. Level three is adding shapes, and level four is adding placeholders where students can actually type in those spaces. And then on the last step, that's how you distribute it through Google Classroom. Okay, so really, if you're going to do just level one, you just want to make the file and make it readable, make it available offline, and then you want to distribute it to your students via Google Classroom. You could skip ahead to that Google Classroom part, and so you can just choose which way you want to go. Let's get started. First thing I need to do is I need to get this into a PDF format. So I'm going to print it, and I want the article and the quiz. And what it'll do is it's going to give me a PDF copy of this article as well as the quiz. So I will download. It will save to my PC here. I'm going to save it to my downloads folder here. I don't need to keep this file. Just like so. It'll go down here. On a Chromebook, it'll go on the bottom right. All right, so the next step is to convert this file. So I go to zamzar.com. Zamzar.com will convert a few files per day for free, so you can't overuse it by any means. If you need much more, then, well, you need to purchase a subscription. I'm going to select my PDF file, and I'm going to select to convert it to a PPTX. Now, what this is going to do is convert it to a PowerPoint, and when I hit Convert Now, it's going to give me the option to download it. Now, while that's processing and converting, I say convert it to a PPTX because that's PowerPoint. And if you upload it to Google Drive, then what happens is it converts to a Google Slides presentation. So I'll hit download. It's now down here in my downloads. And actually, I forgot this step. I forgot to mention that I need Google Drive open. I apologize for that. If you're on a Chromebook, it's even easier though, because if you're on a Chromebook and it pops up on the bottom right and you click on it, it'll actually just open up and then you can do what you want with it. But because I'm on a PC, I have to do it the old school way and choose new and file upload. And I have to find my file, and I saved it in my downloads folder. So I will pull that up. Here's my PowerPoint file. Open. It'll say that it is uploading. When it is finished, it'll say upload complete. I'm not being a good example and actually putting it in a folder. I apologize for that. I really should put it in a folder. And it'll pull up like so. And you might think, well, that's not very good. So what I need to do is hit open with Google Slides. And what that did to the PDF file is it took each page and put it on a separate slide here in PowerPoint format. I uploaded it to Google Drive and opened it with Google Slides. It's keeping the PowerPoint format. If I don't want that, what I can do is I can hit File and Save as Google Slides. This is especially helpful if you have any add-ons that you want students to use, because if it's a PowerPoint presentation being edited with the Google Slides editor, see how this is PPTX, then what happens is you can't use the add-ons. So actually, I'm going to close that out and make sure that it's a Google Slides presentation. So now this one is Google Slides. Hopefully that didn't confuse anyone, but what I basically did was just change it over to Google Slides. Okay, so this is step number 1. And if I were to distribute this to students, it would work offline because it is a Google Slides presentation. What I would probably need to do is change the title of it. And I'll change this to... So if that's all you're interested in, if you just want to distribute that and you want students to have the article and you want them to be able to type in these spaces, then that's available. It's ready to go. You could distribute that. Step 2. This is what I really enjoy doing. I think it's super effective. It takes a little extra time, but that is called editing the master. And when you edit the master, what you do is you keep it from being all movable, because what this did when I converted it was it took the pictures and it took the text and it put it in separate boxes, and all of this is movable. The students could manipulate it. The other reason I like editing the master is because then I have this drop-down menu and I can choose whatever layout I want. And each page will be on a layout, so that way I can pick and choose it. If a student deletes a slide, I can pull it back in. And you can also train the students to do that. This is step 1 for moving this content to the master. I'm going to take all this content. I go outside the box and drag a box around all the content. I'm going to right-click and I'm going to cut the content like so. I will go to Slide, Edit Master. The background will go dark. I have a master section here. I have layouts here. I need new layouts. I am going to hit the plus while the background is dark because this is giving me a new theme. You'll see that they give you this thing called a placeholder. I'm going to talk about placeholders in step 4. I click on the border of this, not on the dots, on the border, not in the middle. It won't work. And I can hit backspace or delete. That'll remove that. The next thing I'm going to do is paste. And it pastes all that content directly in this space, in this layout. I will rename it. Use the rename button there, and I hit OK. So here's what that did. Let me hit the X. I'm back in regular Google Slides. You'll say, oh no, it's not there. It is, don't worry. There's no need to panic. I'll hit this drop down here so I can select the layout, and you'll see page 1. And so what that did is this. None of this content is movable. This content, because I haven't moved it over to the master yet, is all movable. So I'm going to repeat those steps. Step 1, copy your content. Step 2, go to Slide and Edit Master. Step 3, grab a new layout. Step 4, remove the placeholder that's on there. Step 5 is to paste that content in. Step 6 is to rename it. And step 7 is to add the layout to your slides. Ready? Here we go. So now I have page 1, I have page 2, I have these blank pages. I can delete those by clicking on those slides, hitting backspace. And then I have my last one. Same steps again. That wasn't super painful. And the nice thing is that all of this content is now on the background of this. And if I need to edit it in any way, if I want to change the font style, change the font size, I can go to these spaces and I can change that information at any time. Or if there's pieces I want to remove, I can change those pieces. So what I did is I did step number 1, which was convert it to a PowerPoint. Step number 2 was to move it over to the master. Here's the third step. You can also customize this. Okay, so to customize it, you can add in your own little shapes or whatever. You can block out pieces. You could make it so that way you have little spaces that students could respond in, or you could give them additional directions. So I'm going to use the Edit Master again. And if I wanted to do like digital Post-it notes and add my own thoughts in here, I can use the Shapes tool like this and add essentially my little Post-it note and add my own little thoughts. Let's just make it yellow. Double click in there. So I'm sure that the students would be really thrilled that I put that note on there. It's more just to grab their attention, but you can put those little notes on there and you'll see the students can't move them. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is to add what's called placeholders. Placeholders are pre-made text boxes, so that way the students can just write directly into them. So I'm going to go to Slide and Edit Master again. And actually, I don't really want that. That was more of a joke than anything. I'm going to go to the quiz, though, and I'm going to add in some little spots where they can actually respond. So let's use that shape tool again and use a little box. And let's color it in. You can change it however you want. You can change the line color there. If I want to add some drop shadow there, that's fun. Gives it a little more of an appeal to it. And I can double click in this box and write some text. You'll see that it's centered, so I need to highlight the text. I can change the alignment here. Here's the horizontal alignment. Here is the vertical alignment. And then what I'm going to do is duplicate these boxes. So to duplicate them, I could right click and I could copy and I could paste. There's lots of steps there. Another really quick way that you can do this is to click on the box one time and hold down Control and press D. I love doing it that way because it's just duplicate. So when I click on the box one time, hit Control D, then I get all these boxes. They're exactly the same size. And then I can double click in this space and change numbers. Now you could be done with it. I know I said I was going to talk about placeholders. You could be done with it and you could just make it that the students put their own text boxes in there and put their answers in for those. You could, but what's really nice is if you actually give them the box. So now comes the placeholders. This is step 4. I'm going to choose from the Slide and Edit Master. You can only do this in the master. You can add what are called body text placeholders. And body text placeholders are going to look hideous when I put these in. I'm telling you right now, you're going to freak out the first time you ever do this because you're going to get all these menus. Don't panic. It's no big deal. I'm just going to keep adding them. We'll fix them later. They look good in the end. They don't look good now. Just trust me on this, okay? And you can customize these however you want, but I could go to each box and I could choose what font style and all that, and that would be painful. I'm going to do a quick check to show you just what it looks like. So now it says click to add text, and every time they click in these boxes, it says click to add text. Even if they leave the box, you could even leave a reflective space at the bottom that said, what did you think about this? But you'll notice they can't get rid of the question 4, question 2, question 1, but they can get rid of the click to add text. Just warning you on that. So you make it as creative as you want. Let me go back to Slide and Edit Master, and I'm going to show you how you can customize all of those placeholders all in one shot. And it's right here on this guy called Master. And this one here, what I'm going to do on the one that's called Master is I'm going to customize that text. This changes all the placeholders. So I'm going to change the box. Watch this. This is cool. I'm going to hit the paint bucket here, and I'm going to change the background color of that. You'll see it changed the background color of my placeholders there. If I don't want it so strong, you could even make it that it's somewhat translucent. I went to the paint bucket and I went to custom, and you'll see there's a transparency option here. That's kind of fun. So you can make it look the way you want, and you can also change the font style and font color if you like. You could change the size of it, and you could change what the text actually looks like. So now when I go back to regular Google Slides, here's what I get. Click to add text, click to add text, click to add text, and they would be able to put in their responses in those spaces. All right, so that is step 4. But I'm going to add an additional step in here, and I'm going to make this that the next step is to customize it even more. So if I go back to Newsela and I look at the activities have a writing component. So what I'm going to do is, take their writing component. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to add it to my layouts. So Slide, Edit, Master. And I don't have a layout for that, so I will add one. And I'm going to get rid of their placeholder. And you can make this look as fancy as you want, but I am going to paste that text in. It's nothing fancy at this point, but if I modify this text to make it look the way I want, I can. So let me work on that a bit. Something else that's kind of fun is if I add in a little word art. I like word art because you can change the inside color, outside color. You can go to format options, add a little drop shadow, depending on how you want it to look. You can also add in some pictures. Depends on how much time you want to spend on this. Nice pencil. I'll add that in, resize it, and move it up into that space. Again, format options, when I select the picture, allows me to add some drop shadow if I want to. So how do I have the students actually write on this? Well, you simply use another placeholder. So when I hit the drop down by the text box while I'm in the master, body text placeholder, and since I had already formatted the text here in the master, it overrides the format and the settings, so that way it matches all the way through. I want to forget to rename this one. Name it whatever you want. I'll close out of master slides. I am going to now make sure that I add it as part of my collection so I can just pull it from the layouts. So now that I have this all ready to go, I'm ready to distribute to students. And what is great is when I'm ready to distribute to students, if they ever have the situation where they delete a slide, I am able to pull it right back in, or I can show them how to do that. I know I've mentioned that before, but it's just such a beneficial piece of all this extra work. All right, last step is to actually distribute it. I go to classwork, I hit create, hit assignment, give it a title, give it some instructions. Right, I need to now add my Google Slides from Google Drive. It'll show up here in my recents because I just recently worked on it. You can also search for it if you haven't used it in a while. Insert. I want to make sure that each student gets a copy. Very important. I want each student to have their own copy and they can write on their copy. I'm going to set a point total, set when it's due, set a topic. All of these elements are super important for student communication. Letting them know when things are due is important. Organizing assignments according to topic is really important. Letting them know a point total and grading it later, all important pieces. I will go ahead and assign this, but I also want to show that you can schedule or save the draft and work on it later. Assigning. Now that I have this assignment finished, you'll see that I have the capability of seeing the assignments themselves. Each student got their own copy. What I'm going to do for the next video, and I will eventually get it in the description of this video, is I'm going to create a student version showing them how they can edit it, how they can add items to it, and not only that, but how they can actually work offline on it as well, and then how they need to turn it in Google Classroom. Hopefully, all of that is helpful to you. And if you felt like there were a lot of steps here, the more you practice it, it's actually gets pretty fast. I could actually create one of those really super fast as I get into a rhythm. And in the long run, it does save me time and it does save me frustration as I'm able to add items to the master slide deck.